What if the chaos of modern life, endless notifications, career pressure, the ache of feeling not enough, isn't the enemy but the forge that shapes you? Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, ruled an empire while battling doubt, loss, and betrayal, yet he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." I've been there, scrolling late at night, wondering why I feel so lost, or grinding through a job that drains my soul. But here's the secret Stoicism taught me. Peace isn't found by escaping the storm, it's built by standing strong within it. In this video we'll uncover how Stoicism can help you tame stress, rise above failure, and find calm in the chaos. Try this. Take 24 hours to focus only on what you control, your thoughts, your actions. Hit subscribe, share your story in the comments, and join our community to live with purpose, no matter what life throws at you. Section 1. What makes a relationship toxic? I've lived through the kind of years life doesn't apologize for: losing loved ones, going broke, feeling utterly alone in rooms full of laughter but empty of connection. In those moments, Stoicism didn't come to me as philosophy, it came as a lifeline. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. You can't control your mother's death, your partner's betrayal, or being laid off after 15 loyal years. But you can control how you respond, and that's everything. I served as a Marine. On the battlefield we learned one rule: never let emotions dictate actions. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." Civilian life is no different. It's just a battlefield with enemies that wear the faces of friends, deadlines, illness, and silence between two people who once loved each other. That's why I ask myself every morning, what could knock me off balance today, and how will I prepare my mind to remain grounded? A CEO I once coached told me, "I have it all, money, status, beautiful family, but I feel hollow." He's not rare. We're taught how to climb the mountain, but no one teaches us how to live once we're at the top. Stoicism doesn't promise joy. It teaches you to face reality and find peace in duty, discipline, and acceptance. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." What breaks you isn't the job loss, it's the questions it leaves behind. Who am I without this title? So I ask you, when everything you love is taken from you, what remains? If you don't have an answer, your identity is in someone else's hands. That's when you need to stop. Write down 3 things you do control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses. Start there. Make that call you've been avoiding. Clean the room that's as messy as your mind. Sit still for 5 minutes. No phone, no noise. Fire reveals gold. Hardship reveals character. Wind doesn't break the tree, it exposes whether the roots are deep enough. James Stockdale, a POW and survivor of brutal torture in Hanoi, once said, "You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality." That is the essence of Stoicism. Not blind optimism but disciplined hope. So I leave you with this. Are you ready to live as if today and every day you are fully responsible for your life? Section 2. The role of self-awareness. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It shows up unannounced, with a layoff notice, a doctor's diagnosis, a funeral call in the middle of the night. And in those moments all the noise falls away. What you're left with is the question, what now? That's where Stoicism comes in, not as a theory but as a toolkit. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." It's not morbid. It's clarity. When you live with death on your shoulder, you stop wasting time on things you can't control. What others think of you, what you didn't get, what might go wrong. You focus on what's yours, your character, your choices, your effort. When I was 28, I lost my job and my father within 3 months. I'd wrapped my identity in both. Stripped bare, I had to ask myself, am I still someone worth respecting without a title, without his approval? That question saved me. Epictetus reminds us, who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their control. That's power, not bravado but stability. The kind that holds steady when the market crashes, when your partner walks away, when the world says no. General Mattis once said, "You don't get to choose your circumstances, but you do get to choose how you prepare and how you respond." Life is a battlefield, and your mind is the only weapon you truly own. You sharpen it with discipline. A morning routine, journaling your thoughts instead of tweeting them, walking when your head's a mess instead of numbing it with a screen. You don't need a guru. You need a system. A set of simple practices that hold you when life doesn't. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Ask yourself, is this thing I'm panicking about real, or just a fear I've let grow wild? Self-awareness is like turning the light on in a cluttered room. You start to see the edges of your own patterns, why you people please, why you snap at your kid after work, why you dread Mondays. That's not weakness. That's data. And once you see it, you can change it. Here's something I tell every young adult who feels lost. Anchor yourself to values, not outcomes. Outcomes shift, values don't. If you show up with courage, honesty, and effort, you've already won. The rest is noise. So next time life tests you, through illness, heartbreak, uncertainty, don't ask, why me? Ask, what does this demand of me? That shift, right there, is the start of taking your power back. Section 3, Stoic Self-Reflection 101. You don't have to be a philosopher to live like a Stoic. You just need to be someone who's had enough of feeling out of control, someone who's been punched in the gut by life and decided not to stay down. For me, that moment came after my divorce, when I found myself sitting alone in a half-empty apartment, staring at a wall and asking, what now? That's when I turned to the Stoics, not for comfort but for clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about that. We spend so much of our energy trying to fix people, prevent pain, or predict the future. But what if you focused instead on what's actually yours to manage? Your mindset, your values, your reactions. Let's make it real. You get passed over for a promotion you earned. You feel angry, resentful, maybe defeated. That's normal. But what would a Stoic ask? Not, why did they overlook me? But, did I act with integrity? Did I give my best? If the answer is yes, then you've already won. The rest is just weather, passing storms, not your foundation. Epictetus said it best, it's not things that upset us but our judgment about them. That's why self-awareness is everything. I started journaling each night, not poetry, just straight talk. What did I do today that I'm proud of? What did I let control me? What will I do differently tomorrow? That's where growth lives. Not in motivational quotes, but in the quiet accountability of self-reflection. I've coached veterans with PTSD, executives on the edge of burnout, and teenagers battling anxiety. Different battles, same battlefield, the mind. General Jim Mattis once wrote, if you haven't read hundreds of books, you're functionally illiterate in the battlefield of life. For me, the Stoics are part of that survival kit. And their wisdom is simple, control what you can, let go of the rest, and do your damn duty, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Ask yourself, when everything goes wrong, when the diagnosis is terminal, when the business fails, when they leave, who are you then? Your answer can't be based on status or success. It has to be rooted in values. Because values don't crash. They don't ghost you. They don't die. So here's something you can do tonight. Write down the 3 things that matter most to you, non-negotiables. Then for each one ask, am I living in alignment with this? Or am I betraying it for comfort, approval, or fear? That's Stoic self-reflection in action. No fluff, just truth. We don't control the wind, but we can trim our sails. That's what Stoicism is. Not a shield from pain, but a compass through it. Section 4. Step 1. Observe your feelings. You ever felt like life was dragging you behind a truck? Every bump, every twist scraping your soul raw, and you just held on because you didn't know how to let go? That's what life can feel like when we forget we still have agency. Stoicism reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism isn't about suppressing pain. It's about meeting it like a firefighter meets fire, steady, trained, ready. When my dad got diagnosed with terminal cancer, I didn't have a playbook. What I had was a question from Epictetus, what is up to me? The answer? How I showed up every day. How I listened, supported, didn't flinch. I couldn't stop the clock, but I could choose who I was while it ticked. This philosophy isn't some ancient theory to admire from a distance. It's a daily practice. It's Jocko Willink waking up at 4:30 a.m. and reminding the world that discipline equals freedom. It's Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, writing that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. You got passed over for the promotion again? Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in disappointment? That's the battlefield. The external loss is real, but your dignity, your mindset, that's yours to defend. I ask people this often. When the storm comes, do you want to be a leaf blown around by the wind, or the tree that bends but doesn't break? That strength? It's built in the small choices. The journaling before bed. The moment you bite your tongue instead of exploding. The second you say no, firmly but without anger. Seneca said, We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So start observing, noticing. After tough conversations, write down what you felt. Were you drained or energized? Did that person lift you or take from you? Keep a journal. You'll start seeing patterns. And with clarity comes action. One soldier I know back from deployment told me Stoicism saved him. Not because it removed the pain, but because it taught him to face it head-on. Amor fati, he said, love of fate. You don't have to love the hardship, but you can learn to love who it allows you to become. So, what if today you stopped asking life to be easier, and instead asked yourself to be stronger? What if, in every setback, you practice saying, this is the fire that tempers me. This is the wind that shapes my sails. That's Stoicism. Not ancient, not cold, not distant, just real, just now, just you, deciding who you are no matter what comes. Section 5, Step 2, Analyze the patterns. We spend so much time trying to fix things outside ourselves, our jobs, our partners, our image, but rarely do we stop and ask, am I even showing up the way I want to? That's where Stoicism cuts through the noise. It's not a philosophy of detachment. It's a discipline of engagement, with reality, with pain, with who we really are beneath the armor. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That line hit me like a freight train when I was sitting in a hospital waiting room, watching my wife sleep through chemo. All the big plans I had? Irrelevant. All I had was presence. I couldn't cure her, but I could bring peace into that room. I could hold her hand like it mattered, because it did. The same logic applies to every moment we live. When we feel like we're drowning in bad news, layoffs, breakups, or just the quiet anxiety of not being enough, we forget the Stoic truth. You don't control the storm, but you do control your hand on the rudder. Self-reflection isn't some self-help fluff. It's reconnaissance. You gather intel. You ask hard questions. Why does this relationship exhaust me? Why do I feel small in this job? Why am I clinging to something that no longer aligns with who I want to be? Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. That means your pain isn't the enemy, it's the proving ground. When my friend, a former Navy SEAL, lost his brother to suicide, he told me Stoicism saved him. Not by numbing the grief, but by teaching him to carry it with honor. I realized my emotions weren't weaknesses, he said. They were signals. And I had to decide what kind of man I wanted to be in response to them. If you're seeing toxic patterns in your life, don't just react. Analyze. Are your expectations realistic? Are your boundaries clear? Are you trying to be liked or trying to be whole? Look at your part. Not to blame yourself, but to reclaim control. As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So ask yourself, what patterns in my life need to end? What truths have I been avoiding? What values am I ready to stand up for, even if it costs me comfort? This isn't a call to be emotionless. It's a call to be unshakable. To live like a lighthouse, not avoiding the storm but standing strong through it so others might find their way too. That's Stoicism. Simple, art, transformative, and always yours to choose. Section 6, Step 3, Act with courage. You can sit with a journal all day long, reflect until the ink runs dry, but without action it's just thinking in disguise. Stoicism isn't about knowing the right thing. It's about doing it. Seneca put it plainly, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And the longer we delay hard decisions, the more our peace is held hostage by fear. I remember when I had to cut ties with someone I'd known since college. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield, jokes that hit like jabs, constant criticism wrapped in sarcasm. I'd vent, I'd analyze, but it wasn't until I acted that things changed. I said, I care about our history, but I can't keep pretending this dynamic is healthy for me. That was it. Not dramatic, just clear. And yes, it hurt. But peace is often bought with pain. This is where Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. What would your life look like if you stopped betraying yourself in the name of keeping the peace? Acting with courage doesn't mean burning bridges. It means building boundaries. Boundaries are fences, not walls. They define where your dignity begins. A Marine vet I once met told me, in combat, clarity keeps you alive. In life, it keeps you free. When you set a boundary, you're drawing a line that says, my peace matters too. Not every situation calls for a breakup. Maybe it's just limiting exposure. Maybe it's shifting expectations. Maybe it's finally asking for what you need without apologizing. The key is movement, action. Epictetus said, Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. So ask yourself, what am I tolerating that's eroding my self-respect? What's one conversation I've been avoiding that would set me free? For the young person stuck in a draining relationship, the single parent navigating betrayal, or the mid-career professional drowning in politics and pretense, this is the work. Not fixing others. Fixing your stance. Like a tree in the wind, you don't stop the storm, you root deeper. Simple actions change everything. One honest boundary, one clear decision, one step away from the noise and toward yourself. You don't have to do it all at once. Just enough to feel the ground under your feet again. Remember, the goal isn't to be untouchable. It's to be undeterred. Not cold. Composed. Not passive. Principled. Because the world doesn't need more agreeable people. It needs more anchored ones. And in a time where noise is mistaken for meaning and comfort for peace, choosing to act with quiet courage might just be the most radical thing you do. Section 7. Practical Tools for Stoic Reflection. Every evening I sit down with a notebook and ask myself 3 questions. What did I do today that honored my values? What did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about perfection, it's about clarity. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke. This is the heart of Stoicism, owning your role in your own suffering. Not in a self-blaming way but in a self-empowering one. The world isn't going to change to suit your preferences. People will disappoint you. Life will throw you curveballs, disease, betrayal, layoffs, grief. The battlefield of life is unpredictable. But your response? That's your ground. That's your weapon. When I lost my job at 39, after 15 years of loyalty, I had 2 choices: spiral into bitterness or use the moment to reevaluate what mattered. That's when I started practicing the view from above, a Stoic exercise where you zoom out and imagine your life from the perspective of space. Looking down at yourself, does that toxic boss matter? That failed meeting? That awkward silence? No. What matters is who you became in response. General James Mattis once said, engage your brain before you engage your weapon. For the Stoic, that weapon is your action, your boundaries, your presence. And the brain? That's reflection. Evening journaling, not to vent but to refine. Ask, was I patient with that customer today? Did I shrink myself to avoid conflict? Did I speak the truth even when it was uncomfortable? Memento mori, remember you will die, isn't morbid. It's liberating. It clears the fog. You start to see, life is short, energy is finite, and peace is too valuable to trade for people who make you feel small. When my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, I watched a man live his final months with purpose, not panic. He said, every breath is borrowed. Make sure you're spending it with the right people. So here's a question. If today were your last ordinary day, would you be proud of how you spent your time and who you gave it to? These tools aren't self-help tricks. They're survival gear for the soul. 5 minutes of evening reflection. 1 moment of perspective. 1 choice to walk away from what drains you and walk toward what roots you. It doesn't require a guru or a retreat in the woods. Just a pen, pause, and the willingness to live like your time matters. Because it does. Section 8. Overcoming obstacles. The truth is, life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't pause while you figure yourself out. It keeps moving, like a battlefield where the next challenge always lurks just over the ridge. And that's where Stoicism steps in. Not as a philosophy to admire, but as a shield and compass to carry. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, wrote Marcus Aurelius. That's not a quote to memorize. It's a strategy to live by. Last year, I sat by my mother's hospital bed as she slowly lost her memory to dementia. I couldn't control her decline, but I could control how I showed up, with presence, patience, and gratitude for the fleeting moments of clarity we shared. That's Stoicism. Not suppressing grief, but channeling it into action rooted in love, not fear. Seneca once said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. How often do we rehearse disasters that never come? Stay in jobs that drain us, relationships that belittle us, just because we fear the unknown more than the misery we know? What if, instead of asking what if it goes wrong, we asked, what if staying stuck costs me more? When Navy SEAL Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom, he's echoing Epictetus. That true liberty doesn't come from escaping hardship, but from mastering yourself within it. Want to set boundaries? Practice saying no without over-explaining. Afraid of being alone? Take a walk, journal, breathe, and ask, What part of myself have I been abandoning to avoid loneliness? There was a young client I once coached through a brutal breakup. She felt gutted, abandoned. I gave her one stoic prompt: what would your highest self do right now, not your hurt self? She started running every morning, deleted the messages she kept rereading, and wrote a letter to herself each night, signing it with compassion. Not because it was easy, because it was necessary. Like fire testing gold, life refines us through pain. But only if we let it. You can walk through loss, rejection, career failure, and come out quieter, wiser, more anchored. But only if you stop resisting the wind and start adjusting your sails. Ask yourself, am I living by design or default? Am I choosing peace or just avoiding discomfort? Simple tools work. An evening reflection, a firm boundary, 5 mindful breaths before you react. Stoicism is not cold logic, it's emotional clarity. It doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to show up, eyes open, values intact. You will face resistance, from others, from yourself. But you are not weak for wanting peace. You are strong for choosing it. Every time you act with intention, every time you say, "This is not who I am anymore," you're not walking away, you're walking home. Section 9. Building healthier relationships. Living Stoicism today means embracing life's chaos like a soldier on a battlefield, knowing the only weapon you truly wield is your mind. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. When cancer hits or a job slips through your fingers, you can't control the diagnosis or the pink slip, but you can choose how to respond. Do you crumble or do you stand tall like a tree in a storm, bending but unbroken? I've seen veterans like my friend Colonel Mike carry this mindset from war zones to hospital beds, facing PTSD with quiet resolve, journaling daily to anchor his thoughts, a stoic practice as old as Rome. Epictetus taught us, it's not what happens to you but how you react that matters. Losing a parent stings like a blade, but wallowing in grief won't bring them back. Instead, honor them by living well, start small, maybe cook their favorite recipe or volunteer in their name. These acts ground you, turning pain into purpose. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to live their values? That's Stoicism in action, not just navel-gazing philosophy. In the corporate grind, where deadlines burn like wildfire, Stoicism offers a shield. Seneca warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." A failed pitch or a missed promotion isn't the end, it's a signal to pivot. Take Elon Musk's relentless focus. When SpaceX rockets crashed, he didn't sulk, he analyzed, adjusted, and launched again. Next time you're spiraling over a setback, pause. Write down 3 things you can control, like your effort or attitude, and act on them. This isn't fluff, it's a lifeline. For younger Americans, drowning in social media noise, Stoicism is a compass. The world screams for your attention, but as Ryan Holiday, a modern Stoic, puts it, the obstacle is the way. That breakup or career rut. It's not a wall, it's a teacher. Ask, what's this moment teaching me about resilience? Practice, amor fati, love your fate. When I was 25, broke and directionless, I started waking up at 5 a.m. to read and reflect, a habit that rewired my perspective. Try it, 5 minutes of silence each morning, focusing on what you can control today. Relationships too thrive on stoic clarity. Like spotting green flags in a coffee shop chat, people who respect your boundaries, lift you up, Stoicism demands you be that person too. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so we can listen twice as much as we speak." When a friend's struggling, don't just nod, listen, ask questions, show up. After my sister's divorce, I didn't offer platitudes. I sat with her, shared a beer, and let her vent. That's Stoicism, showing up, fully present, without ego. Life's a forge and challenges are the fire. Will you let them burn you or shape you? Start small, act now, and let your mind be the anchor. Stoicism isn't just ancient wisdom, it's your anchor in life's storms. Whether you're battling social media noise or searching for peace in a chaotic world, it's about choosing courage, clarity, and purpose every single day. Don't wait for life to get easier. Start now. Take one action today. Journal for 5 minutes, set a boundary, or simply ask, what can I control right now? You're stronger than you know, and Stoicism proves it. Hit like if this resonated, subscribe to join our journey, and drop a comment. What's one Stoic practice you'll try this week? Let's build a community that lives with intention. Stick with us for more tools to navigate life's battlefield. Your next step starts now.